We're still staying on this same issue, but we're taking another perspective now, and we have with us Vince Onyekwelu, who is a security consultant. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Can I quickly get your thoughts? When this story broke on the part of the, I think it was from the Nigerian police, and you heard the response from the military over the killing of these police officers and also a civilian. What were your thoughts when you saw the questions being asked by the police and also, well, we haven't seen any response, so far so good, to the questions from the Nigerian military? They're saying, let the investigations, be concluded, then perhaps we'll have something to say.
Thank you. One of my first lines of thought would be the panel of investigation, in my own opinion, it's totally wrong. The army has the power to do their own personal investigation. At the end of the day, the onus of crime investigation in Nigeria lies with Nigerian police based on our constitution, and we cannot change that overnight. Now, if you must do a Nigerian-led probe, it should be done by independent people, not the army, not the police. The judiciary can take care of that, or the legislature can take care of that, and we should not have any serving or previous army officer involved in that. We should not have any active or past police officer involved in that. So that way we can have a clean view of what happened. Now, secondly,
are we saying that there cannot be people of integrity within, both institutions or within security circles to take a dispassionate look at what transpired? Let's not forget that this, I think it was a guest who was here a couple of days ago who said that this is the behavior. We shouldn't say that this is the behavior of the Nigerian army or this is the behavior of the Nigerian police. That, these people need to be isolated. And don't you think that there are people who would reason in that respect and say, this is the behavior of a few officers. These are allegations against a few officers, not the entirety of the military or the police, and be able to take a dispassionate look at what actually transpired.
If we want to be holistic about crime and crime management, there are loads of wrongs that have been done already. And you know what? A wrong is a wrong, even if everybody is doing it. A right is a right, if nobody is doing it.
So tell us what you see as a list of wrongs.
Now, first of all, this event happened. Up to today, we don't know who called the army. It's been a secret. Now, before you make a phone call to the army or to the police, there must be an emergency number you're calling. So this Nigerian that called the army is the number they used, a public number that every Nigerian has access to call the army? Or was it a private number of the army to show there's a private relationship between these people?
Let's not forget that investigations are still ongoing, because we're looking here on the front page of the Vanguard. We're seeing there, Army captain had 191 phone chats with wanted kidnapper. That's a quote. You also see there, policeman accused of giving army false report arrested. It's on the same page you see rifles of slain policemen are with soldiers. Now, interestingly, if you read the detail of this policeman accused of giving army false report on the inside, you hear the police saying that they don't know of any such thing. But this is what is on the front page, that some policeman might have been involved.
See, let's not look at the narratives. Let's look at the truth from the criminal point of view. As I said to you, we need to retrieve that mobile phone. Hopefully it's been retrieved now, to check the relationship between the army captain and this kidnap kingpin. The second thing, even at the point that the army engaged the so-called suspects based on the army opinion, do you need to extrajudicially kill them? Because when you arrest people that suspected to be criminals, you've shot their tires or you've shot the driver, the car has somersaulted, they are there. You have to use your system to arrest all of them. The dead has to get attention to the morgue. The injured has to get treatment to go to the hospital. Those that are not injured should be arrested and taken back to the barracks to be debriefed. Now, these guys are assets in your hands. What did army do to them? They lost those assets. Because I saw an amateur video where one of the police officers was still alive on the floor. And eventually I saw him shooting himself on the pants. And he died, the one with the striped vest. Then we asked the question, the identity of this person that called the army is still a secret. The name of the captain that was involved is still a secret. We need to see the name and the pictures. You know why we do this? We do this for us to say they are not yet guilty, but this is the army captain, his name and his picture. Look at what happened at this university in Akure, whereby some army officers stopped a bus carrying students, and they took one of the girls down, and she was raped. Now the army officer has been sacked and has been handed over to the police. What of the other army officers that was part of that collaboration to stop the vehicle, to disembark the girl? What is their names? What is their pictures? Because we don't want to have a risk of the same army officers being sent to another university where they now turn to become sex predators. That's what the army does. They have this smart way of covering and protecting their own. Listen, if they go to the court martials, army will say, if you find them guilty, we sack you and hand you over to the police. But if we don't find you guilty, we retain you and end of the matter. That is wrong. They don't have the authority to do all those things without getting the prosecutory agencies to take command of this. Now, the army needs to market themselves better. They are a wonderful institution. We need them. We love them. We support them. But look at the past couple of months, army reprisal attacks somewhere in Bayelsa because some army officers were injured or killed. A committee was raised down. Now, when you heard this article saying the army should be careful, the troops should take caution, I think the advisory is a bit questionable. Why do I say that? When you ask a sister agency being the army to be careful of police officers when you see them in checkpoints, it brings this suspicion that the police are now the aggressor. But the police are the victims. They lost their men. The army shot their men dead. But the army is being smart with their propaganda to say, our men, be careful, so that you don't become a victim of suspected police officers that want to take an attack on you. I
think, again, very important. The army, yes, shot some men down, but it's not the entire army. It is officers within the army. And as a result, other people, the police, men in the Nigerian police force, are understandably angry. That has been established. Even Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians who have been reading the story, are outraged as to how this could have happened, especially when you watch the video. It's even more, will I say, inflammatory, so to speak. That video would inflame passions. Isn't it then common sense when you say, what, some people might not be able to differentiate between the military as an institution and, military officers? They might paint everybody with the same brush and say, you people were the ones who killed our men, and take it out on them. Perhaps not, by physically killing them. There could be some other acts of aggression against them. You don't think that could happen?
My stance as a professional would be that I do not urge the police to do any kind of reprisal attack. They shouldn't even think about that. And I believe and I hope, and we all hope they're not thinking about that. But what I'm trying to say, this is propaganda, communication narratives, that the police are being now marketed as potential aggressors, whereas they are the victims. Look at what happened in Odi and Zakibia. It wasn't the police that did the reprisal attack. We know who did it. Now, in the past couple of months, the army were involved in issues. Okada driver shot dead somewhere in Abia State. It wasn't good marketing for the army. Some allegation about millions of naira being taken away by 3 or 4 soldiers. Why is this cash, if it's true, it's an allegation, why this kind of cash by the army? Now, you have issues of army arresting suspected terrorists. Remember that Boko Haram has been proscribed. Now, army will arrest suspected terrorists of Boko Haram and detain them beyond and above what they have by law, 3 days, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, and they will say they have been de-radicalized. They are okay to go back to the community. Who said they have the power, the authority, the capacity to train or to de-radicalize people? Nobody monitors them.
That is a number of issues we're lumping together. Well, yes. We'll come back and see if we can sort them out in the time remaining when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. We still have with us Vince Onyekwelu, who is a security consultant, and he did raise issues about the image of the Nigerian military, especially the Nigerian army, in recent days, in the light of stories that we have been seeing. You talked about an Okada rider who was killed somewhere in Abia State, soldiers who were said to have disappeared into thin air, on the grounds that they took money or they were escorting a huge sum of money and disappeared with the money. And we understand that there are questions being asked, even though we're not sure whether that process has been made transparent, whether the military is going to be carrying Nigerians along. And you're trying to also add to it what was going on, the fact that the Nigerian military is also de-radicalizing Boko Haram terrorists. Now, some people will say that that is another kettle of fish, because what happens in the Northeast is not just the Nigerian military. They seem to be working in tandem with also some non-governmental organizations in that particular regard. But coming down to some of the issues of image that you have raised about the Nigerian army in particular, what do you think it ought to be doing to remarket itself? I mean, this is not just PR branding. This is also to say that they take these issues very, very seriously.
First of all, the army needs to make a press release to, first of all, to commiserate with the police for their colleagues that died. I think if you look at the report, the army said the first report did not actually pay attention to say we lost great Nigerian police officers. We are sorry for this, try to compensate the families, show some kind of victim care support, try to talk to the Nigerian police in a language that will make them to calm down, because they were more instead talking about suspect. The word suspect was used about 10 times by the Nigerian army in all forms, in all shapes, to demarcate those members of Nigerian police. So they need to go back to the drawing board and show a kind of respect to the Nigerian army and to the people that lost their lives.
The Nigerian police, you mean?
Yeah. So the army has to show some support to the Nigerian police and those members that died. Probably see their family members, show some love, show some concern. That's number one. Number two, the army also needs to see themselves not doing police roles, because they are not trained, they are not have that doctrine inside them of patience, persuasion. Because when they stopped that vehicle, or when the vehicle moved past, first checkpoint, it did not stop them. We know the army checkpoints, what they look like in Nigeria. You have to go through a kind of zigzag. You can't just come and just zoom past. So if you zoom past the first check, there should be a radio to say, second checkpoint, stop this van. They pass second one, third checkpoint, stop this van. That is not done. So I think the Nigerian army needs to allow the police. If you go to some of our hinterlands, very peaceful communities, the presence of the army on the checkpoints there is worrisome. It's scary. And they're so entrenched. They have generator sets that power them, that gives them electricity. They're so comfortable and relaxed. What are you doing in this peaceful part of Nigeria? We need to encourage the army to focus on their strength and allow the police. If the police needs the army, let the police bring the army to do some work for them. At the end of that work, they go back to their normal duties. The way it's going, it seems that the army has this powerful authority in Nigeria that they can decide what happens, influence governance, change our governance policies to benefit them. You see,
why do you say so? What is pointing in that direction?
We have an army that's supposed to be a super institution, but we are not building that. Now the army can decide the influence they're going to have in elections. We saw what happened in Port Harcourt during the elections, when the army arrived at a particular polling unit and chased everybody away. That is taking an authority that on a good day the army shouldn't even think about. But because we're allowing them to get away with this kind of instances, and they even initially lied about what happened in Port Harcourt until videos emerged, and they now had to recant their initial narratives. So we don't need to encourage them. So we are not trying to hit the army. We are trying to encourage them that we need these institutions, even the police, even the way they handcuff people in the front. Over 7-10 years ago, we stopped to handcuff people in the front, except if somebody who is pot-bellied or a pregnant woman. But normally, we do back cuff. And in back cuff, we've got 3 types of back cuff. If you arrest an experienced criminal in the front cuff, he can still fight for you with your gun, take your gun from you, still fire you, still take your car key, start the car, put an automatic car in drive, and still drive very far distance. We don't do front stack handcuffing anymore. It must be back. And they are back 3 stages, so the person does not suffocate. So I think the Nigerian police still needs to do some work, but we should never encourage any kind of reprisal. The army needs to reach out, calm their tone down. When they get information, investigate. Don't just come to defend your men. We need to see army officers, their faces and their names that seem to commit crimes. In Nigeria, last week we had a Professor Iwu, Maurice Iwu, being taken to court. We saw his face, we saw his name. We saw Showore taken to court. We saw his face, we saw his name. But we have not seen the face of this army captain. The one that shot the guy dead in our back. We have not seen his face. The one that raped the girl in Accra, we have not seen his face. So there's an intentional strategic protection. And the army doesn't have to have the civil rights that if an army shoots my brother down, the army man should go to our civil court. So my lawyers can have a right to drill him. So we can learn lessons of what went wrong and how to make corrections. But it's now all bottled, secretive. We need to tell the army, we know your authority. You don't have the right to prosecute. Those men you hold there in your detention camps that are Boko Haram, how can you set them free? We don't even know.
That's again
it's annoying.
Issue entirely.
Okay, some other time.
Thank you
some other time.
For sharing your perspective this morning. I sincerely hope that somebody is watching and listening to what it is that we're saying this morning, especially people who can act on it. But we thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. Vince Onyekwelu is a security consultant. Sunrise Daily continues about now with the team in Lagos. Gentlemen.